to the weekend, which hopefully will be a much better ride than it was climbing the mountain, because what the freak? Okay, I need to just lay some groundwork here for 1 second. I was having surgery yesterday, so I was not available. We had a best of. I hope you enjoyed it. I had eye surgery, weight vision, unbelievable. You're going to hear more about them, and I had this crazy eye surgery. I can see now. Everything's in focus. I'll have better vision. I'll have better understanding. I can give you much clearer insight into the world of sports because of the surgery I had. I say that a little bit lighthearted, but not really. I mean that in all seriousness. I just have to say this. With the 5th selection of the 2025 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select, who gives a crap? Who gives a freaking crap? This happened. I can't. I know I'm a day late and a dollar short, but so are the Utah Jazz, and so all of Jazz Nation. I understand that it doesn't mean you can find great players anywhere. You can find them at number 5. You can find them, and the Jazz have found players at all these different places. But you know what they haven't found? They haven't found a freaking championship, and they've never had that. Player that trumped Karl Malone and John Stockton. They never had Michael Jordan. They never had Larry Bird. They never had Magic. They never had LeBron. They never had Steph Curry. Any of these guys who have won championships, Kevin Durant. They've never had that guy. And I know people are like, well, they had Stockton and Malone, but they didn't win a championship with Stockton and Malone. They had 2 of the 50 best players in the NBA history, and they still couldn't beat Michael Jordan. And if I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm not wrong. The Jazz have never won a championship. In fact, Danny Ainge came here, and everyone's like, what is Jazz DNA? What is Jazz Nation? What does it mean to be? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I come from where you win championships. And Ryan Smith says, I want a parade. And they've done things. They've tried to make decisions, have a plan, and of course, the Jazz have said, "Hey, our plan is still on track." Well, no kidding. What other plan do you have? Of course it's on track. Are you going to say it's not? You're going to say you went through this entire season and through this entire season, and with the hope. And again, that's all it is. It's just a hope. It's a guess. You have to get lucky. I mean, it's absolutely insane to see how is it the Dallas Mavericks a year ago are in the championship. 1 year ago they're in the championship, and now they have the number 1 freaking pick in the draft. How in the world does that make any sense in anyone's universe? How does the NBA ever reconcile this? Ever? It makes absolutely no sense. Utah has been a good franchise. It's been a model franchise. It's been a franchise who, in the early days, found a way to survive in the NBA and thrive in the NBA when it was a small market, when it was absolutely nothing, when it was in the barren desert, just parched with water, just trying to survive on reruns on KBYU at 10:30 at night on a Saturday night. And Larry Miller, thank goodness for Larry Miller, and his vision of seeing things. And here, why in the world is this franchise not been rewarded, and in any other fashion than it has? Oh, great! You gave us an NBA All-Star game, which was an absolute utter fiasco. Getting an NBA All-Star game is like getting a white elephant gift. It's a gift you're trying to give away. It's one that's given to you as a joke. I mean, the NBA All-Star team is horrid. Like we should never watch the NBA All-Star game. Never. We should never watch it. Like if you're going to push that garbage on us, where we're looking, when we see the very best players in the world assembled together,
Okay.
we should see the
I'm
most
gonna jump in
amazing
here for just 1
basketball
second.
game you
I'm gonna
could
say what I
ever
wanna say.
imagine.
I'm getting out. Okay.
We should
I don't
be
care what
entertained.
anybody
We should
has to
see
say after
something
what I have to
special
say.
instead
Okay.
of seeing this like
Anybody in this
garbage
conversation is
exhibition
conservative.
piece
Okay?
of crap.
Your dumb president
And
just brought
now
over
this
from
whole
South
draft
Africa,
situation has
okay,
come up,
a bunch of
and it's
apartheid
ridiculous.
wanting motherfuckers
It's absolutely ridiculous.
who want to
So
put black
the
people
only
back
way
in
you
shape,
win a
wanna
championship
make
in the
them even
NBA
more shape,
is you just get freaking
okay?
lucky.
Those people,
The San Antonio
hopped on a plane,
Spurs
hopped on charter
are
flights
like
with everything
freaking
they
lucky
had that they could take,
to get the picks that
so they can come
they've
over
had.
here and get it.
It's insane
They're
how that
getting
happens.
asylum treatment from us.
You
while
could
we're
argue
kicking
that
on
the
Hispanic
Philadelphia
people for doing
76ers are extremely lucky.
nothing. You conservatives
And so you
are
either have to be
idiots.
really
Bye.
lucky, and even lucky like, the Denver Nuggets finding Jokic in the second freaking round. Like everyone says, well, and the odds aren't in your favor, by the way, of finding a player like that in the second round.
I mean, Lori.
So you either have to be really lucky, or you have to spend a lot of money on these athletes that only want to come to your city if you have basically all night bars and strip clubs.
Obviously, you can't do it this very minute.
Because other than that, you're boring.
If I can get your
And that's the criteria for these players. You know,
okay.
it's I need somewhere, and maybe gambling. I don't know, but it's a degenerate society,
So, the hockey,
a lot of money, and you got to get lucky. That's the NBA.
We do that live,
In my mind. There's no real hope. There's no, you say, well, we have a plan. Okay, our plan is let's go get draft picks from Cleveland, and let's get draft picks from Minnesota, who both are like, Cleveland had the best record in the NBA.
Okay.
Minnesota is going to play in the conference finals. So you're drafting at the end of the first round with all of these players.
Take a picture of it.
And everyone says, no, but you need these players. You need to build out your team. And the one thing they say is, you can get the role players, you can get the position players, you can get someone who's pretty adequate at, 15 or 20 to fill out your roster. May not be an all-star, but man, he's going to be a quality starter for you. But aside from that, you need the best player. You need someone who's like a top 5 player in the NBA. You need a Steph Curry. You need a Kevin Durant. You need a LeBron. Maybe you could argue you need a Luka. You need a Jason Tatum. You need someone. You need a Jokic. You need a Giannis. And the Jazz don't have that player. None of these picks. We got all these picks. I hear about all these picks, and they're unprotected picks, and there's a lot of picks, and there's all this stuff. And I know people. I mean, really, San Antonio. If you want to make a move, go talk to San Antonio and say, look, you all have had a lot of pick. Would you like some more picks? We'll give you a lot more picks if we can move up a few spots. If we really think that one of these top 3 players in the draft is that foundational player, get rid of some of your freaking picks. I'm really the picks are getting annoying to me at this point. I'm starting to wonder how this is all going to play out, because all I've heard is it's just giving yourself the best odds. You're just getting the best odds. Well, we had the best odds, and we actually went the opposite direction of the Utah Mammoth. I mean, the Utah Mammoth are the Dallas Mavericks of the NHL draft. So from a hockey perspective, no offense to hockey, but there's been a lot of long-suffering Utah Jazz fans that have been here a lot longer and have been waiting in the breadline for some crumbs, for championship crumbs, a lot longer, and have been a lot more long-suffering. Nothing against hockey. Well, I love it. But Jazz fans are edgy right now. Jazz fans are teetering on, I might just be throwing in the white towel. I might be just done with this. This might be it for me as a Jazz fan. And I felt that way. And I was like, and I know I'm going to hear, because guess what? I'm a former athlete, and I know how we do things. We always believe there's hope. We always believe there's a chance. There's a, well, now, it doesn't mean anything if you're picking number one. Psychologically, it does. And to me right now, you need that from the fan. You need your fan base to have some massive level of hope. And I said this on Monday, and it's that fear as a fan. You go, the worst possible case scenario can happen, and that's why I don't want to get excited about this draft. And the worst possible case scenario did happen. The Jazz could pick no less than fifth, and they pick fifth. And it's not only the fifth, but it's who's ahead of them. And you're just like, how? Where? And you just, so percentages, right? Statistics, the probability of things. The probability is not 100%. It's not like, no, you have the number one pick in the draft, no matter what. That's not what it is. It's like you have a 14% chance. So if you picked 100 times, 14 of those times you would get the first pick in the draft. They have these draft simulators, and you go and you pick, and I did it, and the Jazz picked fifth, and I did it again, and the Jazz picked fifth, and I did it again, and the Jazz picked third, and it took me about 9 or 10 tries. So if the Utah, so essentially, here's the deal: the Utah Jazz need to tank for the next 10 years. Just the next 10 seasons, just say we're going to be horrible, miserable, awful. Because what other choice is there? The other choice is we don't have all night life in Utah. We don't have like these massive amounts of whatever it is that Charles Barkley thinks this is exciting. So whether it's bars, whether it's strip clubs, whatever it might be, we don't have it here. And guess what? We don't want it either. I'm not here to say let's sell our soul so Charles Barkley can be happy. Utah is an amazing place and should be celebrated for how amazing it is. And it is. People with half a brain know how amazing Utah is. I can't say, well, I'm not even going to say it. Utah is a very special place. And I've lived a lot of other places outside of Utah. Okay, fine, I'm from Utah. But still, I wanted to leave when I was a kid. I couldn't wait to get out of Utah. And I've come back, and I've been here for quite some time and very happy. Utah's a great place and deserves better. Now, I do have one glimmer of hope, because that's who I am. I can always find a silver lining. I know that it's never the end. I know that in the darkest times, that's right before the time it gets light. So the worst thing that could possibly happen for the Jazz has happened. But there is a silver lining. There is hope. There is a new direction. And I'll tell you who it is. And I saw this the other day, and the minute I saw it, I was like, all right, I'm not so grumpy now. Giannis Antetokounmpo is my silver lining. Giannis went to Milwaukee. Milwaukee isn't the pillar of like, oh, this is in the top 10 places in the world that I want to live. It's a forgotten place. People love Wisconsin. They love the Green Bay Packers. Maybe they love the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know, but Milwaukee's it's not a city you go, wow, this is a destination city right there, folks. And Giannis is a guy that appears to me, because let's go back to the Oreos. This guy found out you dunk Oreos in milk, and thought he just discovered the cure for cancer. Like, it was the most remarkable insight he'd ever found out how amazing Oreos are in milk. There is no other way to eat an Oreo other than dunked in milk. And so he has this, he has the right temperament, maybe. He has the right, he could fit in Utah. I would embrace the heck out of Giannis. I would think the folks here in Utah would be over the moon. I would be happy to give away all those freaking draft picks, or at least some of them. All right, we got to keep a few. And maybe this year you find, or maybe one of these front court players turns into something, or maybe you find one in the draft at 5.
Damian Lillard, Giannis, Kessler,
and you go out and you trade for Giannis. And maybe that starts this thing headed in the right direction.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst.
And maybe some of these other draft picks, all these guys that have been playing the heck out of basketball for the last half of this season, start to mature and start to develop. And maybe Will Hardy is really good at doing that, developing players. And you start to put together, and you get a Giannis who has a new take on life. And maybe we add fry sauce to Oreos dunked in milk, and we show Giannis what incredible things can happen when you dunk your fries in fry sauce. and then you send him to Swig. You give him one of those gourmet cookies, Crumble or the other ones. Anyways, someone comes up with a good idea in Utah, and everyone else. There's 4 companies just like fry sauce, fresh look, Swig, and a Crumble cookie. That's going to get Giannis to Utah. That's where it is, people. But we got to swing with the things we got. Ryan Smith, maybe Ryan Smith. Maybe there's a discussion, like you want to know how you swing a player to Utah, other than strip clubs. Offer a membership in your Smith Entertainment Group. Say, hey, would you like to get into sports ownership? I mean, that's part of what Larry Miller did with Stockton and Malone. There's car dealerships today with Stockton and Malone's names on them. And maybe it's that, maybe that's the type of thing that could draw someone, that marquee player to Utah. Say, look, we got Dwayne Wade, we got all these folks. Let's really sweeten the deal. I'm just telling you, it's a hard pill, and it will be a hard pill to swallow if the Jazz have to go through another year of tanking. In fact, it reminds me of a time when I had an MRI. I don't know if you've ever had an MRI. And people are like, wait a minute, how does an MRI, how does this correlate? Well, I'll tell you how. If you've ever had an MRI, they stick you in a tube. And I'm not a little guy. I fill the tube up, okay? And I've been shoved in an MRI tube, head first, feet first, arms over my head first, which I will tell you is the equivalent of being waterboard tortured. Horrible. Okay, first of all, if you're even remotely claustrophobic, you're not going to last 2 seconds. And I didn't think I was, but being shoved in an MRI tube will actually make you. It'll make you claustrophobic. So I have my arm above my head, and it's kind of symbolic of the first season that the Utah Jazz had of tanking. Extremely uncomfortable. You're on the verge of just massive panic, and you just want out. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go through this. And you're in there for an hour. Okay, so I come out of this tube, And I'm like, thank goodness that's over. And I don't have to do that again because I can't feel my arm. Totally numb. And the technician goes, okay, now that we did that arm, we have to do the other one. And I thought it was like a little medical joke, right? You know. And I go, but that's a funny joke because like this is the arm that has the issue. What do you care about the other one? And she was like, well, we have to have a comparison. We need to see that your other arm isn't like your first one. Well, I can tell you they're not the same already. Don't you guys have? And she's like, you got to go back in. And that's what tanking for another season with the Utah Jazz is to me. It's like having your second arm stuffed in an MRI machine after you swear to your life you'll never go back in there again. And I had to do it, and it was horrible, and it was miserable. Now, I got through it. Did I win a championship because of it? No. I don't know that I have the emotional makeup as a Utah Jazz fan to actually take tanking for another season. I'm on the verge. I'm getting claustrophobic. I'm really right on the edge. So, because I'll just tell you what's going to happen. They're going to draft a guy. We're probably not going to know who he is. We're going to be fed this whole line of, we had this guy as the third-rated guy in the draft or the second-rated, whatever. You're going to hear some spiel, and then this guy's going to come in. He's going to just suck for a while, and you're just going to be like, okay, we're going to go through this whole growth period with this guy again, and in the meantime, we're going to tank another year. And I'll tell you who I feel sorry for. I mean, slightly. Like, what about Lauri Markkanen, who was just so amazing when he came? I mean, what gone are the days of Malik Beasley and Larry Markkanen and Kelly Olynyk, Mike Conley. Long gone are the days where the Jazz were actually competitive. We actually really liked that they just showed up every night. We liked that these guys were hungry. Like, these guys were playing for their life. They were playing for the best contract they could possibly get. They were playing for an opportunity to go play on a team that had a chance to win.
Right, coming up.
And that's the guys I feel sorry for. And I really wonder how much of an impact it has on their potential where they've just sat. And they've just sat because if they play, the Jazz could win. It's so weird. Oh, this whole thing has me just tied up in knots, and it actually made me bring up a very emotionally traumatizing event in an MRI machine. That's how far this whole thing has gone with the Jazz. Well, we're not going anywhere. I'm not giving up on the Jazz. I'm just like, I'm sure a lot of Jazz fans are just, I'm ready to give up. But we're not going to do it. We're not going to give up. I keep saying my prayers for Justin Zanuck. I'm really glad that Will Hardy's here. And I love my Utah Jazz. Well, I love this show. Well, we got to take a break for a minute. We'll be back. Okay. You know the world is weird when they finally said Shoeless Joe and Pete Rose are eligible for the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about that and so much more when the Down and Dirty returns here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM.
Question out today. I put a couple poll questions out on the old tweet machine. Let me ask you this question.
Be part of the show on social media. Follow us on Twitter at ESPN700 and at Real OC Sports.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. You'd never lick their thumb to clean their face. never, ever become a minivan mom. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, no, it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
New Harley-Davidson motorcycle starting at $99 a month. That's Summit Harley. Right now today for only $99 a month. That's Summit Harley-Davidson. Over 300 bikes in stock in the largest inventory in Utah at Summit Harley. Get on a new Harley today for only $99 a month at Summit Harley-Davidson. Finance specialists on site to help get you approved. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. We can help. Visit SummitHarley.com.
Who else like that?
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Learn some phrases you'll actually use, so when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Since 1983, the University of Utah Crimson Club is the organization that builds champions in the classroom, competition, and in our community. Here are 3 ways you can support Utah student athletes. Impact generations through scholarships, facilities, tickets, and sport excellence funds. Retain champions through NIL. Build your business as a corporate sponsor. Utah family, let the nation hear you through the mountains, near and far. Join the Crimson Club today. Visit UtahCrimsonClub.com or text 801-585-UTES.
ARUP Blood Services is calling all youth alums to donate blood this spring. ARUP supplies the University of Utah hospitals and Huntsman. They need youths to keep the hospital stocked up. Visit utahblood.org. Get an Amazon gift card for donating. Let's save lives together.
For the latest news on the University of Utah, keep it locked right here on the home of the Utes and Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700. Utah's #1 sports talk and home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Mike's hot.
All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Oh, boy. I'm so glad we had to go to a break because I was really, really incensed by the conversation about the Utah Jazz. I'm sick about it. It's not something I'm going to get over quickly. I'm not really looking forward to the draft. It's just like any other draft now. It's just like, yeah, okay. And I know it's like, hey, but a top 5 selection, and that, that's good. And I felt like it was good, but I don't now. I don't, because all the things that I perused through is like, there's a really, really high likelihood that the Utah Jazz will not go past number 4. And really, really liked the 4 options, I guess. I mean, who knows? That's the thing. That's what I hate about all this anyway. I mean, it's like the NFL draft. Who knows? Who knows if Caleb Williams is going to be a guy, and who knows if Cam Ward is going to be a guy. I mean, Trevor Lawrence. The jury is still out on him. Zach Wilson, he was the number 2 pick in the draft. He's fighting just to be relevant. Just to be relevant. Just to hopefully stay in the NFL. And I know all these draft picks, they don't pan out in the NBA. I get it. It's just for once. That's what it is for me with the Jazz. It's just for once. Just for once could we have the number 1 pick in the draft. Just so we would know what it's like. Just for once could that happen. Just for once could we get this. And I don't want to diminish Karl Malone or John Stock, because they were phenomenal. They are unbelievable. They are those foundational players. Clearly, they could have won a championship. should have won the championship. Why Michael Jordan ever decided to come back and play basketball again. Why they couldn't have won championship while he's off messing around in the minor leagues trying to hit curveballs. You know? Get it together, Jazz. That's what I have to say. For once, just for once, could we get it together? Okay, this is when you know the world is turned upside down. This is when you know that that the karma is just not, or maybe it is. I don't know how you look at this. But they have decided in Major League Baseball to overlook and to allow Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson eligibility into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Okay. I'm just telling you, like, there are certain things in life that I never, ever thought would happen. Ever. And Pete Rose being eligible for Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame would be one of them. And simply because of Shoeless Joe Jackson. I mean, Shoeless Joe Jackson, this was in 1919. This was a long time ago. And if he wasn't deemed eligible after he died for over 100 years, you certainly weren't going to see Pete Rose after he passed away be eligible anytime soon. And it's like, what? So one of the things that I think is fascinating about the reason that they are being considered is that after all, banishment means once they have died, a life sentence for whatever their transgression they no longer are considered a threat. So they can't do anything that is going to destroy the integrity of the game. And this is the commissioner who wrote this. Rob Manfred said in a letter, just said, that no longer this is that they can hurt us. And I don't know, look, I'm not saying this happens, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that there are curses. There's the Billy Goat curse. There's the curse of the Great Bambino. There are curses in baseball. There are things, there are people who many might argue in baseball can still impact you even though they're dead. So some people may say, yeah, maybe Pete Rose has been haunting Rob Manfred from the other side. And I would say Pete Rose as a ghost would probably be pretty scary. Like I think, I met Pete Rose once. It was at a golf outing. And of course, guess who it was? And of course, it's Dan Marino's golf outing. And anyways, and he was wonderful. Like I'm sure Pete Rose is one of those polarizing players and people, and he's one of those you love or you hate kind of people, I'm sure. But man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was awesome. And I can tell you that my experience, my observation, a lot of professional athletes like to gamble. To what extent and how and where, on their sport, on another sport, on the golf course, on an airplane playing cards, in hotel rooms, when you're traveling on the road. A big part of the culture of sports in general, including the people that are inside it. I've never, ever felt like Pete Rose was alone in what he did. Clearly, the problem you face as an athlete is you just think you're above reproach. You think you won't get caught. You think you can kind of get away with anything. You never really do. But there's certainly that mindset, and I'm sure that's what Pete Rose thought and felt. That he's like, hey, look, I'm kind of above this. Massively stupid, and the argument was, well, he never bet on his own teams. And I'm sure that you're like, just think of your day, right? If you're a gambler, there's a certain time of day that you have to make your bets. And if you're managing a team, and it's a baseball team, and you have 162 games a year, calling from the clubhouse or the proximity to it or whatever he did, it's like one phone call is to the bullpen and the next one is to his bookie. And hopefully you get them right. You don't mix them up. So I imagine it would be hard just logistically because it was really stupid it's just stupid what he did all around. And I've always had this whole kind of roll my eyes feeling about gambling in professional sports. As a player, when you go and you start training camp, it's one of the first discussions you have. Yeah, you have your meetings at the beginning of every season, and it's kind of like we got to take care of certain business. It has nothing to do with let's talk about implementing our offense. Let's talk about the do's and don'ts. Let's get our HR meeting out of the way, type of thing. And gambling is one of the first conversations you have. And the conversation is, it's a big business, gambling on professional sports. People want the insight. They want to know. Last Saturday when I went to the Bare Knuckle Fight Championship, we actually sat next to a guy who's a professional gambler who has gambled on every single fight in this Bare Knuckle Fight League. He was telling us all the ins and outs of his decision, why he bet on players and why he didn't. In fact, he talked about this one guy, and he in talking to him, he felt like he wasn't confident. And because he felt like he wasn't confident, he bet against him. And it was a good bet. The guy got knocked out in 8 seconds. And you're just like, the people that gamble want all the information they possibly can get. When Vegas sets the odds on everything, I mean, we're deciding presidential elections on the betting odds and where they're headed. Like, they know more information in Vegas about sports than any of us. And they got to find that information somehow. And that's the conversation. You don't talk to people. You don't tell them anything. Now, the NFL will tell, I don't know if you realize what this is for, but they give an injury report. It's not to report, it's for the gamblers. If you're going to bet on this game, you just need to know so-and-so is about 80%. And the NFL does not like it when people lie and say, well, this guy was really questionable. And, of course, the coaches are trying to do it to throw off the other teams, and the NFL is mad about it. Who knows? Because now the NFL is in bed with gambling. And you can say what you want. They're in bed. They have a relationship. It massively bumped up the value of these franchises. So there's this whole culture of gambling that permeates through sports and has forever. And Pete Rose just kind of got caught. I really wonder if Shoeless Joe even cheated, even took money. Statistically, from how he played in the series, probably didn't. But there are people out there that want the information, and they will do whatever they can to get it. And there have been histories and examples of players in all sports, even officials. And who knows, maybe there's certain owners. Why they would do that, I don't know, but it's possible. So for Pete Rose, and maybe I'm biased here, maybe this is wrong, and it, you know, it certainly, he certainly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame based off of what he did as a player. 1,000%. There's no evidence. There's nothing that suggested as a player that he did anything that would have tarnished the game of baseball, as far as betting, as far as six. I mean, if you want to ask about a guy who was competitive and wanted to win, and was just he was like, he got so much out of the talent that he was given. He was incredible, and how he hit a baseball, and how he just had more hits than anyone ever. And you saw him in an all-star game. This was a guy that wanted to win. And I have no problem having him in the Hall of Fame for what he did as a player, and should have happened while he was alive. And having him banned as far as being a manager, being involved in the day-to-day operations of baseball from that side of it, from anything as a post player, fine. But certainly deserves. And there are people. So this will be fascinating, because you're going to get now. See all the guys that cheated as far as the drug enhancement stuff. Part of this. I mean, who are we kidding? If you banned certain players from substances in the enhancement, performance enhancing drugs in Major League Baseball, I think you probably have to ban everyone. If you really got down to it, and if you really found out at certain points of their careers or their development that I'll bet a lot of guys took drugs. I'm sure they did. And so just ban them all. and if you have a ban on substances, then uphold it. But you don't. And if you don't, we're human beings. We're gonna get away with as much as you let us get away with. Look, I got a speeding ticket, and I went to school for the speeding ticket, which I will just tell you, it's not worth your time. Just pay the fine, and or don't speed. But it's not going to help you out with your insurance. Just don't go to the school. But I will just tell you, I went to the school. And the one emphasis they focused on was, before you ever get pulled over for a violation, you will probably have committed 300 violations. So they were encouraging people to drive better. And it's kind of like in baseball or in sports. These players have committed violations long before they ever got caught for it. And they're not the only ones. But that's going to be the next discussion. Should Roger Clemens, should all these guys, should Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and all these guys, should they be left out of the Hall of Fame now? And maybe after they die, they'll let them in. I don't know. But I'm telling you, the world is turned upside down when they let Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe become eligible. Now will the writers actually let them in? That's going to be an interesting thing to watch. All right, it's time for another break. You're listening to the Down and Dirty here on ESPN 792.1 FM. We'll be right back.
Perfect, Scott.
wellness needs. They've got skincare and hair restoration, hormone therapy, peptide options, red light therapy. Guys, don't be shy. Discover the secret to looking and feeling your best. That can be unlocked at the Steel Vault. Their team of professionals are dedicated to enhancing your experience by using cutting-edge technology and services. Check us out in Holiday, 4640 South, Holiday Village Plaza, Suite 101. Steel Vault. Book your first consultation today.
Can't listen to our shows live? No problem. We podcast them all just for you. Catch all of our ESPN 700 programming podcasts through Apple and iTunes or right on our website at ESPN700sports.com. This is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 at 92.1 FM.
What's up?
All right, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. So glad you could join the show today. Oh, what great topics to talk about today. The Utah Jazz falling as far as they possibly could in the draft lottery, and all of this. I know it's a day late and $1 short, but again, so are the Jazz at this point. And then Pete Rose. I mean, Pete Rose being eligible to get into the Hall of Fame. Insane. Just crazy. I would vote for him. I'm not a gambler. I think gambling is terrible. I think it's a really, really bad part of our society. I think it's probably having massively hurtful impacts in a lot of ways. And it is massively popular in all segments. I mean, the lottery, all of it, sports gambling, you name it. So the president of the United States is over in the Middle East. He's flying around all these countries that are full of sand and desert. For some reason, I've never been to the Middle East. I know Dubai and parts of Saudi Arabia, amazing, and other places, and I've seen some of the resorts and things that they're doing. They tend to do things like just insanely outrageous. The buildings they construct, the indoor ski facilities they have. They've essentially bought off some of the best golfers in the world and said, come join our league. Paid them, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, probably in the billions of dollars or close to it for this league. And they don't care because they have all the money in the world. So the president's over there and they go, hey, we like you, Mr. President. We want to give you a $400 million airplane. Or even, it might be $600 million. $400 to $600 million airplane to serve as Air Force One. I don't know how you turn that down. Now everyone's freaking out, because all this gift thing and blah, blah, blah. It's not the gift part of it that has me concerned. It's what all of the secret technology that they embedded into this airplane that goes undetectable. That literally they go, Mr. President, hey, thanks for taking our plane, and they blow it up. I mean, who knows? It's everyone's bent about, well, the president can't accept the gift. Now these are people, they're allies, they're liked people. I'm not saying, but I would imagine they would have to go over that airplane with a fine-tooth comb. And from what I understand, it is a floating palace or a flying palace. It is like it puts Trump's gold-plated seatbelts to shame. Like that's a standard option on their planes. The upgrade is like diamond studded seats that massage you. Probably they're probably so insane with their airplane that it's like, yeah, we put it in a pool. No, like a swimming pool, like in the back of the plane, man, and it's a wave pool at certain points of the flight. Like you really want to be in the pool for takeoff and landing. And if we ever encounter turbulence, no one else in the air has what we have. That's what how do you turn that down? But what was interesting or recently about the president, why bring the president up, is he's had conversations with the NCAA president, Charlie Baker, about creating a commission on college athletics. And I'm like, well, don't they already have one? Like, what's the NCAA? What are you? And I started to think about it, and I'm like,
Don't mean to
football is its own
just a
beast.
small minor issue.
Football has been doing its own thing, and yet it's still governed by the rule. Like, they still have rules, but they don't. I mean, they've kind of thrown in the towel. It feels like it's a puppet government in the NCAA. But I can tell you that I'm extremely happy that the president has made an offer and a gesture to actually say there needs to be a commission on college athletics. And actually, President Trump said they'd like to create this commission. And I think if you talk to anybody in sports, in college football, I think every single person to you would say, yes, we would love to have the commission. But would they really? If you think about what's going on in the federal government with this whole Doge thing, and there are people that are going, and I'm one of them. Yeah, I want to know where my taxpayer dollars are going. I'm fascinated by how the government is spending this money. And there's certain people that are throwing their arms up in the air saying, well, we don't want this. They're going in and they're going to take away your Social Security and they're going to take away your Medicaid. They're going to, and they have no right to do any of this. And I'm like, isn't this government for the people, by the people, and of the people? So what do you mean by, well, they don't have the right to do this? It's like, I would think that they have the right, but why are some people so worried? And I think it's because they're going to get found out. I mean, you look at some of the presidents who went into office and left office and how much wealthier they are, or you look at some of these senators, these Congress people who, like, the most miraculous stock pickers in the world, and their portfolios have just like exploded. And it's just like, wow, okay, I don't know how you get this. Well, everyone agrees about a commission, but do you really want it? Because there's a lot of folks that have been cheating at college football for a long time. The so-called bagman, the person who has the money, it's been behind closed doors. Now it's kind of an open secret. So do you really want a commission? Do you really want people to start looking and saying, okay, we have to clean this up? And I would venture to say that they say they want it, but do they really? Because there's a select few that are calling all of the shots as it relates to college football. And all those shots are going to be about what's happening in the future. Anyways, I hope that the NCAA does get a commission, and I hope it works well. All right, it's ESPN Festival of Trees powered by the Utah Golf Association. Each day, ESPN 700 is giving away rounds of golf for the best courses in the state. Listen to the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. That's me from 10 to 11. The Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2, and The Drive with Spence Checketts from 2 to 6 for your chance to win each day from ESPN 700. Hey, listen, text 5-iron to 877-353-0700 to play at El Monte for one round of 18 holes of golf. This has been the Down and Dirty. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Scott Mitchell. Until then, we'll see you then. Sean O'Connell is next.